What if I told you that the glittering skyscrapers of Dubai are built on stolen wealth? Not just any wealth, but Africa's gold. Its lifeblood, its future. In 2022 alone, a staggering 435 tons of gold were smuggled out of Africa, more than 1 ton every single day. But who's behind this masterminded heist? If you think it's just one nation, you're mistaken. Multiple nations have banded together to plunder Africa's gold, leaving the continent trapped in economic instability while they grow richer. So who's really behind it all? Let's dive in. The glittering facade, Dubai, often called the City of Gold, is known for its opulence, luxury, and towering skyscrapers. But beneath its glittering surface lies a dark secret. In 2022, a shocking 93% of the illegal gold entering the UAE originated from Africa. That's 435 tons of gold, worth a staggering $35 billion. To put it into perspective, this represents 40% of Africa's total gold production and 12% of the world's gold supply. Dubai has become the global hub for gold trading, attracting traders and investors from around the world. But the gold that flows into Dubai isn't just any gold, it's stolen gold. Mined under dangerous and unethical conditions in Africa, this gold bypasses regulations and taxes that could benefit the continent. Instead, it fuels the luxurious lifestyles of Dubai's elite and fills the coffers of multinational corporations. The West's silent complicity. But let's be clear, this isn't just about Dubai. The West plays a crucial, albeit quieter, role in this exploitation. The gold that arrives in Dubai doesn't stay there. It moves on to Western markets, where it fuels economies and enriches multinational corporations. These corporations, many headquartered in Europe and North America, are the ultimate beneficiaries of this stolen wealth. The irony is thick. Countries that claim to champion human rights and transparency are complicit in a system that exploits Africa's resources and people. The gold that ends up in Western jewelry stores, electronics, and financial markets often comes at the cost of African lives and livelihoods. The process is insidiously simple. Gold is mined in Africa, often in small artisanal operations. Instead of being processed and sold legally, much of it is smuggled out, avoiding taxes and regulations. The gold passes through various hands, often ending up in Dubai, where lax regulations make it easy to clean the gold and sell it on the global market. The profits are enormous, but Africa sees none of it. Instead, the continent is left with environmental destruction, social disintegration, and economic impoverishment. The wealth generated by Africa's gold could be used to lift millions out of poverty, build schools and hospitals, and invest in the future of the continent. Instead, it is siphoned off to foreign banks and corporations, leaving Africa to deal with the consequences. The consequences. The environmental impact of this illegal gold trade is devastating. Artisanal mining, which is often the source of illegal gold, is incredibly destructive. Miners use toxic chemicals like mercury and cyanide to extract gold, poisoning rivers, soil, and entire ecosystems. Forests are cleared, rivers are diverted, and landscapes are scarred, leaving behind toxic wastelands where fertile land once thrived. The human cost is equally staggering. Communities are displaced, water sources are contaminated, and traditional livelihoods are destroyed. The use of mercury in mining can cause serious health problems, including neurological damage and birth defects. The contamination of water sources can lead to the spread of diseases, further exacerbating the public health crisis that many African nations already face. The economic impact of this exploitation is severe. The billions in lost tax revenue mean that African governments have less money to invest in essential services like education, healthcare, and infrastructure. This perpetuates a cycle of poverty and underdevelopment, making it even harder for Africa to break free from the grip of foreign exploitation. The lack of investment in critical infrastructure means that many African nations are unable to fully develop their economies, leaving them dependent on foreign aid and investment. The wealth generated by Africa's gold could be used to build a brighter future for the continent, but instead it is siphoned off to foreign banks and corporations. The role of Western governments and corporations. Western governments and corporations play a significant role in this exploitation. Through trade agreements, foreign aid, and diplomatic relations, They create the conditions that allow this illegal trade to flourish. They provide the legal and economic frameworks that enable corporations to extract wealth from Africa while giving little or nothing in return. Multinational corporations, eager to meet consumer demand, turn a blind eye to the origins of their raw materials. As long as the gold keeps flowing, they see no need to ask difficult questions. The result is a global supply chain that is deeply tainted by corruption and exploitation, yet operates under the guise of legitimacy. The way forward. So, is there a way out of this vicious cycle? The answer is yes, but it requires bold action and a complete rethinking of how Africa's resources are managed. The first step is for African nations to take control of their gold production. This means halting the export of raw gold and instead investing in local refineries. By keeping the refining process within Africa, countries can retain more of the value of their resources, create jobs, and stimulate local economies. African nations must also work together to renegotiate international trade agreements, ensuring that they have the power to control their resources. This means standing up to the West and refusing to accept deals that benefit multinational corporations at the expense of African people. Organizations like the African Union, AU, have a critical role to play in coordinating these efforts and ensuring that Africa speaks with one voice on the global stage. A call for global justice. The exploitation of Africa's resources is not just an African problem, it's a global one. The West must recognize that Africa is not a charity case, but a continent with immense potential. This means ending the patronizing narratives that portray Africa as a problem to be solved and instead recognizing it as a partner with valuable contributions to make to the global economy. The international community must also take a stand against tax havens and other mechanisms that allow corporations to hide their profits and avoid paying their fair share of taxes. By closing these loopholes, the world can ensure that more of Africa's wealth stays on the continent where it belongs. A new chapter for Africa. The time has come for Africa to stop being the world's ATM and start being the master of its destiny. The West may have profited from Africa's wealth for centuries, but the power to change the narrative lies in Africa's hands. It's time to use that power and ensure that the next chapter in the story of Africa's gold is one of empowerment, prosperity, and justice. So what do you think? Should nations start seeing Africa as a partner rather than a free resource bank? What does Africa need to do to make these nations treat it right? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to see more videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay tuned.